Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Saturday, the 9th of Jumadul Akhirah, 1445, corresponding with the English date, 23rd of December 2023. Now this here is a collection of the Maktubat, Hazrat Wala is saying, and the letters of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom that he wrote, or his murideen wrote to him, and the answers he gave to them. And that's why I'm saying, Maulana, we need to also have a silsila of this, just as we had the Malfuzat, which is in the form of the Aqwal Salaf in 11 volumes. And people ask, how long did it take you to compile this? And I say 45 years. And then the person who's there in the Majlis says that the Maktubat is also almost ready and we are doing work, as meaning Hazrat has made ishara too. Thereafter Hazrat Wala says, Allah ka shukar hai, Allah ka shukar hai, that Allah Ta'ala, gratitude and thanks be to Him that He has kept me in this. What can I tell you? At the age of 17, I was asked to do some, already from that time, great works. Jami Saab was there, so many seniors was there, and I was made to sit amongst them. No topic was then discussed, except that I had to be present there. At that time, my age was nothing much than 17 or 18. At that time, I just got married. Sometimes it would get late for the bayan, or I would reach late. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to then say that Qamar Uzzaman aayega tab bayan karunga, referring to our Hazrat Wala, that when Qamar Uzzaman comes, then only I would start. Allahu Akbar. Now, who was sitting there? Who was the audience? It was none other than the ulama of Darul Ummah and the ulama of Darul Deoban. And from there was my asatiza as well, Mufti Nizamuddin Sahab. Now, Hazrat ke tawajjuhat ke thamra Allah Ta'ala dunya mein de aur akhirat mein bhi, the fruits of the special attention of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, Allah Ta'ala bless me with that year in this dunya and in the akhirat as well. So everything will come to an end. We're speaking about the dunya and the akhirat. Everything will eventually come to an end. Right? But the only thing that would remain eternally is that of the muhabbat and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just that one dana and that one seed or grain of love of Allah. Isi dane e muhabbat ko hasil karna. And what is it? We need to achieve. We need to persevere in trying to achieve this grain or seed of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the sincerity and khulus, deen itself, is all, we can say, encapsulated in this one drop of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And regarding this, a person should never ever be negligent. So here, in this particular Malfuz, Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom is saying that Hazrat Khalil and Hazrat Habib alayhi mussalatu wassalam were the two greatest giants when it came to the nafi and the ithbat, negation and affirmation, meaning of this kalima. Is kalima la ilaha illallah ke juz awwal ko जो के नफ़ी से ताल्लुक़ रखता है, the first portion of this kalima, which is dedicated or regarding negation. Hazrat Ibrahim Khalilullah alayhi wassalatu wassalam perfected it and completed it to the greatest extent. So much so that no door from all the doors of shirk was then left, except that he closed those doors. And what did he exclaim? And what takbir did he release after doing that? La uhibbul afilin. That I do not love these temporary things. You telling me about the sun and this moon and even the stars? They are here, and after that they are gone. And not only that, even regarding other things which were just subtly connected to that of shirk and association of partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam stayed so far away from that. Now Hazrat Wala is saying that the gist or the whole universe put together is La ilaha illallah. The hasil, the gist of it is La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship but Allah. Man qala la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah. Whoever says La ilaha illallah will enter Jannah. And never ever become from those who are the munkirin and reject. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say this a lot. Otherwise, your aqibat and your end would turn out to be so terrible and so bad. Allah Ta'ala make us from amongst the musaddiqeen and not the munkirin, those who verify, those who accept well and confirm. And Allah do not make us and never ever make us from amongst the munkirin, those who reject. Rather, we even take it further and we say that Allah Ta'ala bless us from and make us from amongst the wajideen, that those eventually who not just confirmed, not who just verified and accepted, but those who achieved in this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the second juz of this kalima is that of ithbat and confirmation, affirmation. And this year is actually the end result of the negation. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam completely and totally with all his strength and his might displayed this great theme to us. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam displayed that to us, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam explained that to us as well. Rather, I misquoted there. It was not Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. It was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam who done this year completely, totally and independently. He brought this year to humanity. Humanity with all his strength and his power. Rather, he put his stamp on there. And it is the barakat and the belovedness of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who is the Imam of all the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, he is Saheb Shafa'at, that Zat and that being that will be blessed with the Shafa'at on the day of Qiyamah. He's Sayyidul Awwaleen wal Akhirin, and you would find him to be the leader of all those who came initially and all those who then came later on. Was salam. Now just looking at Hazrat Wala then just goes on to speak about khutut and letters. We're speaking about these maktubat, etc. So Hazrat Wala says that I had all these letters collected which I wrote to Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahab, and at one stage they started to collect all the maktubat and the khutut of Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahab. At that time, I sent the letters and the correspondence which I had and enjoyed with Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahab, Hazrat Wala is saying, and they amounted and totaled up and tallied to 50 to 60 letters. Himself, Maulana Ali Mia Sahab, was amazed and astonished that you wrote so many letters to me. Thereafter, Hazrat Wala says, मैं हाफिज हूँ बुजुर्गों की किताबों की बुजुर्गों की किताबों का बुजुर्गों के की उलूम का. I am a custodian and I am a guardian and one who has tried to protect the kitabs of the Buzurgan-e-Din and their ulum and their knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept me in this. There was one Buzruk, we're speaking about La ilaha illallah. Now, there was one Buzruk that when he would say La ilaha illallah, there is none worthy of worship but Allah, with so much of strength, he would say that, and so much of yaqeen and negation that there is none worthy of worship. So much so that he used to even erase and negate himself, and that miracle then came to the fore, that when he would say La ilaha, then himself, he would disappear, and then when he would go then illallah, he would then appear again. Allahu Akbar. Man qala la ilaha illallah sidqan min qalbihi dakhal al-jannah. Whoever says la ilaha illallah sincerely from his heart will enter Jannah. Now if just one person remains who says La ilaha illallah, Qiyamah will not dawn upon us. I went to Deoband. And I said there, amongst other things, that the thing that is actually the means of keeping the dunya in its place and maintaining it today, that thing there is being rejected. जिस चीज से दुनिया की बका है, उसी की नफी है, उसी की नफी आज की जा रही है. So that which the dunya is being maintained by today, that is being refuted. What is that? La ilaha illallah. So they are the dushman and the enemies of the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam. Rather, they are enemies of Qiyamah and resurrection. आने वाली किससे ताली जाएगी, जान ठहरी जान जाएगी. Now, that inevitable which is coming to us can never ever be delayed and can never ever be detoured and rerouted. Rather, the breath will stop and the soul will then leave. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam showed us and perfected the deen for us. Allah Ta'ala speaks about that there. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam deena. The deen of no other Nabi was brought to completion other than the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this La ilaha illallah, usi ki mashq ki jati hai. We are made to exercise and practice over and over and over mashq of this La ilaha illallah. Maulana Gangohi also went for this mashq. He went to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, and Haji Imdadullah also seated him and said, come now make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Baghair iske aapki takmil nahi hogi, without which you would not reach perfection. You would not reach perfection. Hazrat Tanvi also went for this, to make mashq of this La ilaha illallah. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab also went for this year. Rather, the woman folk, I think it was the mother or the auntie of Hazrat Tanvi, when they came to hear about this, that okay, but he learned so much and he achieved so much and he's got so much of knowledge. Now what? And now where? Where does he go now? So what answer was actually given at that time? That up till now he was reading and he was learning, and now he is going to go and get prepared and completely when we say figuratively, to get done completely, in the complete sense, completely done. The mother was also one who enjoyed great abstinence of this dunya. So, completion of deen was granted to no Nabi other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why we should make from our ma'mul to send durood upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Gangohi used to say, at least read 300 times sallallahu ala nabi. And Hazrat Maulana sallallahu ala nabiyil ummi. And Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab used to say sallallahu ala nabiyil ummi as well. And he would go on to say, by means of which you would have ziyarat and you would behold Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, what can I tell you? I am also now in my last. हम लोग के आखिर वक्त है. अल्लाह ताला सही मानों में समझा दे और पहुंचा दे. Allah Ta'ala, in the true sense, make me understand and make me reach excellence. So, this dars of Tawheed is what Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave to the Ummat. Wahidullah. Buzrugo, there was one Buzrug and saint who had a ache and a pain in his stomach, due to which he exclaimed and said, I just drank milk now. That's why. From the unseen, he hears a caller saying that you are still with milk. You haven't come out from the milk as yet. So the a'la maqam, the highest maqam, is that of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La ma'buda illallah. There is no deity but Allah. La maqsuda illallah. There is no goal, there is no objective other than Allah. La mawjuda illallah. There is nothing that exists, there is nothing that is present other than that of Allah. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam was Sayyidul Muwahideen, the leader of those who proclaimed the Tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam was troubled and teased so much. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say often, ke bajurme ishq tu am mi kushan wa gogayast tu neez bar lab bam ke khush tamashayest. That it is due to my love for you that I am being teased and troubled. All this commotion and havoc is going on. Hazrat Wala says, and that's exactly what's happening in this world wherever you see Muslims in taklif. It is because or due to their love and that they have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So due to my love for you, O Allah, I'm being teased and troubled, and all this commotion is going on here. You also come come out, come and see this tamasha and see exactly what is going on here and what is happening to me. Now this year was the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. Now in Alahbadi, it was the great Buzrug and Wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hazrat Shah Muhibbullah. And elsewhere, was Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom. And both of them worked together. Both of them worked together. The one by his hands and his work, great works to the Chishti Silsila was achieved, and by means of the other, Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, great works were achieved in the Naqshbandi Silsila. And that's why today, even if you go to Baluchistan, etc., you would find much of the Naqshbandi people there. Now Hazrat Wala goes on to the next malfuz there, and he says, let me read one more malfuz there. Durwesho se mohabbat, love for the pious and saintly people, and to be with them with ikhlas. This is a very great ni'mat and wealth from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a very great ni'mat from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now if we cannot achieve this, then we should not reject it. Now something that could not have even been thought about 10 years ago. Today, what's so difficult about it? We see it right in front of us. Then, if that is the reality and that is the case, then what can we say about what we are presently talking about? This ocean of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is shoreless and which has no end to it. Koi had nahi hai. Dard-e-nayabi, the pain of not achieving. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to relate this to us abundantly. And he was a buzurg also of this nature. In that type of pain, having achieved everything, he had this year that I've achieved nothing. And the Buzurgan-e-Deen have said that if Allah Ta'ala does not want to give something, then in the first place, He would not even create thirst within that person. A person's value comes about due to his love. And his buzrugi and his saintliness is from there as well. And he's being outstanding from amongst all is also due to this very same pain, the pain of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The pain of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, all of this here is for that one dana and for that one seed and grain of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, every day I ask, as I see that it's becoming colder and colder day by day, did people come? And they said, yes, people are all sitting and they are waiting. This is the talab. Now what can I tell you about Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an? What he had achieved. Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an, the dard-e muhabbat, Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an did not achieve that which Abu Bakr had achieved, because he was the highest in the maqam of Siddiqiyat. And that maqam and that station is directly beneath the maqam and the station of Nubuwat. Therefore, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an was Sayyidu Siddiqeen, the leader of all the Siddiqs. Har bul hawas ko nahi dete. This type of great wealth is not granted to just any fool. What about Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha? What about her maqam? Look at Hazrat Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala an. What a great alim he was. Then too he goes to Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, seeking and asking for nasihat and for advice. Now we also learn from that no matter what a person has achieved, then too he should still ask for nasihat. He should still ask for nasihat. And she goes on to give nasihat, that person who has done to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in doing that, if the dunya then becomes upset with him and displeased with him, He done to please Allah, so Allah will become pleased. But not only that, Allah Ta'ala will then please everybody because of the barakat of that. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb also used to quote the waqia, rather the riwayat, abundantly on the day of Qiyamah, where Allah Ta'ala will call out and will say to the kuffar that you claim that you have true love for me. Now do me a favor, go now and throw yourself headlong into fire of Jahannam. At that time also they will not do that. Whereas the Muslimin, they will go when Allah Ta'ala then says to them that, okay, you people now go. Go, I am commanding you, go and throw yourself into Jahannam. They will go and throw themselves into Jahannam. At that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command Jahannam not to devour them, rather to become peaceful for them. In kuntum ahibba'i, that's how the narration goes. So there is one silsila and one chain, which is the zahiri and the external one. The other one is the batini. Now in Darul Uloom Deoband, when I went there, I spoke about this here. I spoke about the silsila, this batini silsila, which is here till today. We came in this dunya, idhar dekha, udhar dekha, ise dekha, use dekha. Na dekha, yaar ko aghyar mein dekha, to kya dekha? You looked at this side and you looked that side. You looked at this one, then you looked at that one. But amongst all, you did not see Yar. You did not see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what have you actually seen? What have you actually come here and seen? Nothing. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to quote the share abundantly. So all the paths have been closed except the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb continued speaking and giving majlis until he passed away. So the one who has created you, he has made you, do for him. Do for him. Now let us make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with his nisbat, his grand connection, the ta'alluq with Allah. Allahumma aslih li fi dhurriyyati. Oh Allah, grant righteousness to my progeny. Inni tubtu ilayka. I have made tawbah to you. Wa inni min al-muslimin. And I am amongst the Muslimin. I make ruju to you. My children are making ruju to you. Oh Allah, you grant righteousness to my progeny and my offspring. Muhammadun basharun la kal bashari bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a human, but not just an ordinary human like us. No, a very special human. Bal huwa yaqutun, rather he's a very great special gem, just amongst all the other pebbles. So much so his bashariyat was such a type of malakiyat capacity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him in this bashariyat and this humanness of his such a type of a malaka Allah ta'ala has granted him, that even he superseded and Jibreel then got left behind. Jibreel then got left behind. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.